Welcome to the Honest Health Podcast with your host, Jeffrey Burke. Honest Health brings you the brightest minds in the natural products industry, as well as athletes and entertainers. Jeff will keep you entertained and informed while educating on how to be successful on your healthy journeys. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Burke.
Hello and welcome back to the Honest Health Podcast. My name is Jeffrey Burke. I'm so glad you're here. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to my new platform. If you've been with me for 1, 2, 3, 4 decades, welcome back. A little bit of a different situation here, but the bottom line, awesome information from the best minds in the industry, giving you the tools you need to make better, wiser, and healthier decisions about your health and well-being. I think you're going to really enjoy today. My wonderful friend Cindy Boyer is here today. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. We are going to be celebrating her and Suzanne and their store. Their store is going to be my pick for my retailer of the month for February of 2025. I have to give you a little bit of a background. You're going to love this. Nature's Garden in Reading, Pennsylvania. They are my choice, and for very good reason, for my retailer of the month. Susan Fiore opened Nature's Garden in 1977. Suzanne was truly a visionary. Cindy came on as co-owner in 1996. Cindy has obtained degrees in addiction counseling, certified health specialist, certified natural health professional, a naturopathic physician as well. Nature's Garden just celebrated 47 years serving their community. They are an eclectic lifestyle store. I have had the pleasure to visit the store, and it is amazing how they successfully strive to educate their customers to make better nutritional choices, plus providing information and booklets and literature on health concerns. Their team specializes in botanicals for everything from reducing pain to helping people with a great night's sleep. On the fun side of the store, you will find many shoe brands from Birkenstocks to fashionable UGGS. Their unique lifestyle store features Patagonia apparel to darn tough socks. Every Monday evening, and you need to tune in for this, from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Suzanne and Cindy have a Facebook Live show called Healthy Living with Nature's Garden. They provide credible information on all kinds of health concerns. So we're going to get started. I'm excited. I love what you do.
Oh, thank you so much.
You know, you and I just talked. We briefly had conversations about how the industry has changed.
Yeah.
Our industry was built on the foundation of brick and mortar, mom and pop stores, small chains, people that had amazing passion that built this industry. We were war tough. We fought for our choices. We fought for our availability of being able to do things in a healthy manner. I think that somewhere along the line, I think the industry a little bit has lost its focus on the people that built this industry. So I'm bringing it back because I think these stores like Nature's Garden, they need to be focused on and celebrated and just recognized for what they do. So let me ask you, how has the industry changed for you and the way you think about it?
Well, Jeff, it's changed tremendously over the years. I think back, when Suzanne opened Nature's Garden in 1977, her vision at that point was to teach people how to eat brown rice and tofu, which is a lot different than the way things are today. And so, as you mentioned, she was a visionary. I think she was almost ahead of her time, although she was with the industry as it got going and gained momentum. I think, unfortunately, today, there is, there's been a big shift in the industry is because a lot of the manufacturers and our suppliers, I think, forget who built them, who made their brands what they are today. And so what I see from my perspective is a lot of them have, I'm going to say, kind of sold out and kicked us to the curb a little bit. So it's been a lot harder for smaller business in this industry to continue to do what we, to do what we want to do, which is to provide information and to help people with their health issues. So I just think it's gotten a lot harder.
Well, and it seems like you cannot teach someone passion. You
Yes.
cannot teach them, to really have this heartfelt feeling about something. And that goes for any kind of a job today.
Hmm.
You can't teach that. That has to be something that's inside of them. And I think a lot of people that have been around as long as we have, you know, we're still as passionate today, if not more than we were when we started. And that's not going to change. I'm just hoping that the passion within the industry comes back to the people that are actually making the changes in the rules.
Yeah, and again, I think in some instances, I think some of the people within, well, some of the manufacturers within our industry, I think have perhaps lost sight of what their original passion was. I think back both in food manufacturing and in supplement manufacturing, where I think the goal was to provide good quality product, whether again it was food or whether it was within the supplement industry. And I think in some cases the vision has shifted from that to money. And I think, you can't let that happen. I think if you continue with your passion, and then your passion is wanting to help people, obviously the money will come. I mean, we are all in business, but I think when you put money at the forefront, you lose that passion.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that people are starved for information? Because I think, there was a time when we only had the availability of a few books. We didn't have the
Mhm.
internet. We didn't have search engines. We didn't have any of those things. And today, there's a lot of information, but then you have to research the research because there's so much misinformation that we end up having to correct people's mindset, saying, that's not true. It just sounds good.
Mhm.
But I think people are coming back to us because I think that they want to have those one-on-one combinations, which are priceless today for your health and well-being.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that that's true, and I do think that's true in some cases. I think that technology has been both a blessing and a curse,
Mhm.
and so too many people today, I think, rely on Dr. Google, and we see them do that within our store, and then they repeat the non-science based information that they get off of social media and that they believe is true. And a lot of that is all based on marketing, and it is not based on true clinical research. And so, as you said, we spend a lot of time re-educating, or at least attempting to. And in some cases you can, in some cases you can't. And I think you have to just know, you know who you can help and who you can't, and concentrate on the people who truly want good quality information and product.
Well, the one thing that you guys, one of the many things you do actually, besides the one-on-ones with your customers that come in the store, is your Monday night show. And
Yeah.
I've listened, I tune in when I
Yes, you
can.
do. We
I've
appreciate that.
I've been on the show with you, and I have to tell you, it is such an amazing source of information, and your passion and your heartfelt feelings come through every single week because that's who you guys are. You are teachers, you are educators, and you are there to make sure that when people walk away, they not only were engaged and had a good time, but they learned. And you have a great way of doing it that keeps it very engaging and very entertaining.
Well, I hope so. I mean, that certainly was our goal when we started that show. I wish Suzanne was here because I can't remember anymore how many years we've been doing. Well, we were doing the radio show initially, then we did radio and Facebook, and then we decided to just go to Facebook because I don't. In some ways, I feel like we have more engagement, better engagement. I mean, it does have its logistical challenges, but yeah, we started out over 20 years ago doing this type of platform, and just wanting to educate people and to try and clear up so much of the misinformation that's out there so that people can actually get quality products that work, because there's nothing worse for our industry than the person who buys a product that doesn't work. And then it's really hard to get them back to our industry because they say, oh, well, herbs and natural products don't work. Well, no, it had to do with the type of product you bought or what you
Mhm.
bought. And so having to, going through like, standardization of herbs or what is a therapeutic dose, and it's not just about milligram. I mean, there's a lot, as you know, a lot of education to be had out there for the consumer.
Do you see people asking, to that point, the confusion comes in because, we know what we want to hear. We
Yes.
know what we want to do. We know
Uh-huh.
the results we want to make. But I don't think it's on our side, our follow through as complete as it should be, because otherwise our choices might be better and maybe our success rates could be better, and maybe we would stay more motivated. But, everybody's in a quick area and they want the magic wand.
They do. I mean, everybody, as you said, wants that magic pill there, and we always tell them there's not a single pill that's going to take care of all of your ailments. If there was, it would be too large for you to swallow. But I think again that sometimes, you look at our economy and people are, maybe a little tight with money, and so they want to try to get a cheaper product, but sometimes that cheaper product ends up being the most expensive product they ever used because it didn't work. And so helping the person or the consumer to understand the differences is what we spend a lot of time doing. And I think once you can show them that information and show them why, let's say curcumin is better than turmeric and why, then I think you can get somewhere. And I also think that what we need to understand is some people are visual learners and some people are audible learners. And so if I'm speaking to someone who's a visual learner, I could probably talk to them all day and they're just going like blah 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 blah. But if I can give them literature or a book to take home and they can sit and they can look at that resonates with them, and then they come back. And so that's why we try to do both.
And I love that because, you are right. There are people that are visual and need to see things because that's what makes it all come together and make sense. Then we have the people, that's why audiobooks are so popular, because people can listen and they're wrapped up in it. They're into the conversation. So, but we're different. Some people do both.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, we've always been, and again, kudos to Suzanne because I think that she has instilled that, long before I came along, and then together we have, and then with our staff we have, that it's all about education. Suzanne and I just returned from a 3-day training in Orlando. The staff has trainings at least 3 times a week. So, we are all about everyone's education, ours, our staff's, and our consumers, because, an educated consumer is a good one.
Well, let me ask you a question. What are the areas that you're seeing today that people are asking the most questions about?
Well, I think the biggest issues I think that we see are probably pain and inflammation, sleep, cholesterol, metabolic syndrome or obesity, diabetes. I mean, that all kind of goes hand in hand too. So those are probably the biggest issues that we see on a daily basis.
I think that that's very true. And I think across the board, as much as I travel around the country, I think I see the same categories that people are asking about because, no matter where you line us up side by side, most of us are all coming, we're all the same when you really take under the microscope. We're all looking for the magic wand, but we're all looking for these areas that we want to focus on. And it's nice when they can actually go somewhere and have a conversation that's aimed directly at them. Because what works for your friends, what works for your family and your coworkers and your neighbors, the people you like and the people you don't like, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And that's where those conversations become priceless.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we do hear that too. A lot of people will come in and go, oh, I want this. My neighbor said they heard about it, and sometimes we have to be like, well, right church, wrong pew, maybe, or we try to help them. And just thinking back on your other question about things that I see that have changed in our industry, the one thing that probably irritates me absolutely the most is these companies that want to prey on the senior citizens. It just made me think of one customer in particular that we have that probably at least twice a week he comes in with some type of mailer that he has
Yeah.
received about, the best product ever for his mental status, and we have to kind of talk him off the ledge on a regular basis and go, no, it's just marketing and you're doing the right stuff. But it's sad to me that there are people and companies out there that do that.
And I think it's always been there, but I think to your point, it's a lot more visible today.
It is. Yeah, but it's just easier access today.
Do you see the industry moving in a good way as far as what the industry as a whole does? Now, obviously, we know we've got a little lost, and I think, but I mean, there's a lot of good technology today. There's more science than ever before. But as the industry in general, how are we doing?
Oh, that's a tough question to answer. I think on the one hand, the positive is that more and more people are aware of herbs and natural products. On the other hand, there's so much bad out there. So, it's hard to answer that question. I think that as a whole, we have not been good about policing ourselves and our industry and trying to do what we can do to get rid of some of the kind of bad actors, I'm going to call them, or the products that just don't have the clinical research. I think that at the end of the day, that's where it all, comes down. What it all comes down to is where's the research? What are the doses, and getting those products.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing.
Mhm.
And like I said, we've been around a long time, and
Yeah,
we've seen a lot of changes,
we have.
and we're seeing, every day we're learning something new. And if you think you've learned it all, guess what? Reality check, we haven't.
Yeah.
And every time I think I know better than I think I do, I find out that I don't, and that's okay because we're all a work in progress.
Yes.
Um, here's a question I have for you because you're out there. I call it in the trenches.
Yes.
Um, how has the mental health situation amongst people today changed since the pandemic?
Oh, it's been a major change, and you
Mm,
know, I think when the last time I saw you here at the store, we talked about it a little bit. I think people have much more mental illness or mental issues today. I think there's a lot more emotional and mental challenges today, and we certainly see that with people that come in. And I think that somewhere during COVID, we lost the art of communication. We've lost the art of patience with each other, or respect for differences, or all of the above. But we certainly see people who are much more aggressive, much more confrontational, and much harder to deal with today than before.
yeah, I think I agree with that. And I visit so many different places around the country, and you're seeing with different people in different areas and different climates and different everything and different, foundational situations going on in their towns and their cities, monetarily and everything. And I see the undertones of mental health being something that, maybe before was something people didn't talk about as much. But I
Hmm.
think today it's something that needs to be recognized. I did a post on social media the other day and I said, look, many people that have struggling today have no trouble reaching out and asking for help
Hmm.
because that's who they are and they're not embarrassed, which they shouldn't be, to ask for help. And we tend to go to those people because we want to be there to support them. But there's also a lot of people out there putting on a really good face,
Hmm.
and they look happy and healthy and wonderful and everything's good. So I usually tell people we all need to check in on the people in our lives and every
Hmm.
once in a while, because sometimes it may be the day when that individual person needs what you're going to be there to support them with more than ever before. And the timing is really important because,
Yes.
today I think we all need to be supporting each other. And today I think we feel more comfortable discussing that we're struggling a little bit, where
Hmm.
maybe before we didn't because it was always kind of silent.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, just thinking back at different products that we carry and sell, a lot of products for stress and anxiety are some of our biggest movers, especially right now. And yes, some people are very upfront and will talk about it, but you're right. I think sometimes people hide either behind a happy and or a mad face And I think as a retailer, sometimes it is hard to remember when someone is acting mean or aggressive towards you, to remember that, maybe that person's just in pain, whether it's physical or emotional,
Yeah.
and try not to take it so personal. Sometimes that is easier said than done.
After all these years in the industry out there, do you think that what is Suzanne's strongest point that she brings to the store besides caring and loving and just being way ahead of her time still, but what is the thing that she brings to the store the most that people just absolutely identify with?
I think leadership and honesty.
Yeah.
At the forefront, that is who Suzanne is. I think she's a strong, independent woman who has a lot to bring to the table. And although people don't necessarily see her every day here because she does a lot of the she does all of the behind the scenes, and allows, people like myself and Kathleen, she delegates to all of us. But I think she also empowers us by providing the education to the staff and to everyone. And I think that by doing that, it empowers them to be who they need to be within our store as well.
What are your strong points?
Now, that's a harder question to answer. I think that, again, I'm here to provide whatever I can to whoever needs it in a lot of ways. And by that, I mean, if the staff has questions, the customers have questions. And I think that part of what we all do is, we are the face of Nature's Garden. People don't buy from Nature's Garden. They buy from Cindy, they buy from Suzanne, they buy from Kathleen and Diane and Shelley. We're about relationships. And so I think, one of my strong points, but I think it's true for our whole staff, is getting to know our consumer, our customers, and, their dogs' names, and, the kids, and the kids graduating. And you only get that. I mean, with longevity, you get a lot of that if you care to. And, I was just talking. It's funny, Suzanne and I were out to eat the one night after work, and we heard some people going, "Oh, that's the girls from Nature's Garden," and we're like, "Oh, Anyway, it ended up being a nephew of a customer that we had for a long, long time, and who has passed away. Actually, during COVID, she passed away. I think she was 96.
Oh, I'm
And we
sorry.
had just a lovely conversation with them, and they talked about how much she loved coming in here. And I was relaying a story about as she got older, she got really hard of hearing, and I actually delivered to her. Because she couldn't drive anymore, and it was snowing one night, and I went out to deliver, and I could see her sitting there, and I'm knocking on the door, and she's not answering because she can't hear me at the door, and I can't leave her stuff. And then I tried to call her, and it took me like a half hour to finally get her to come to the door. But we had a great conversation. It was just really nice to be able to, her name was Helen Hoover, and it was just really nice to be able to have that conversation with the family and just sharing who she was. And I think that's what small business brings to this industry. So I'm not sure that I answered your question exactly, but I think that's what I'm about, and I think that's what the store is about.
I could not agree more. And there's such an amazing. I was telling someone the other day. I said, "How do you judge a health food store, a vitamin store?" And I said, "Well, I have this weird thing when I walk in the store. I have this feeling that comes about me. It either wraps its arms around me and embraces me, or it just makes me want to turn around and walk out the door."
Yes.
And for the most part, I get the embracing. But the first time I came to your store, I was so welcomed, and it was such a wonderful visit. That kind of left a permanent impression with me. But the thing I got to ask you, Birkenstocks. I mean, when you look to the right, it's like a completely different, it's like two personalities running side by side that work well together. You got to explain.
Well, so back, I forget what year that would have been. Would have been about 40 years, no, maybe a little bit longer. So Suzanne was in business. She had opened up the original store in 1977, and I forget how many years she was open. And there was someone who had a Birkenstock franchise that was closing up not too far from us. And they said to her, "Do you want to buy my inventory? And she's like, sure. And then she opened up the Birkenstock account, and we've been selling Birkenstocks for, I think it's probably about 44, 45 out of our 47 years. And, we've seen that company change over the years.
Sure.
We've seen it split into three companies, come back under one roof again, and that is sometimes the beauty of being in this industry with many companies. You learn the ins and outs of all of them.
Right. It's just so funny. It's like when I walk in, I instantly thought this is like a split personality here. But you know what? When I got done over here, I went over there. When I
Yes.
got over there, I worked my way back over. They're separate but together and intertwined beautifully.
Yeah, Suzanne always says, you know what? If you are concerned about your health, then you probably are concerned about having good footwear and having good quality clothing. And so, yes, we are, a eclectic store, but I think too it does go together.
Agreed,
I just think
100%.
it does because I always say if your feet aren't comfortable, you are not a happy camper. And so you need good footwear.
It's so funny. I actually was talking to somebody the other day. I said, "When was the last time you thought about the bottoms of your feet?" We were having this weird conversation. He goes, "What do
Yeah.
you mean?" I said, "Think about it. This is the bottom of your foot. You have two of these, and they support all of this on top of it."
Yeah.
I said, "And if they're not healthy, how can everything else that you're doing every day, just your simple movement?" I
Yes.
said, "So, getting pedicures all over it, cream and lotions on the bottom of your feet, making sure you're wearing good shoes, good socks, taking care of your feet." I said, "When was the last time you thought that you were actually taking care of your feet?" And basically said, "I never think about my feet." And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Most of us don't." But
Yes.
that was a great point. Thank you for making it.
Oh, you're welcome. Because there's a lot of people out there who have plantar fasciitis. I mean,
Yep.
you have to correct it with footwear. Yes, you can take supplements to reduce the inflammation, but you have to fix the way your weight is distributed on the foot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really good point. So another question I want to ask you, within your store, your
Yeah.
demographics, more women than men,
Yeah.
younger, older?
Yeah. I would say, and I think it's shifted a little bit over the last few years, but I would say, our demographics are probably mostly 45 to probably 75, 80, probably 80% women, 20% men.
Okay.
And again, I think that's shifted some over the years. We're starting to see some younger people. I think we're definitely seeing younger people being more interested in this field. Um, Sometimes they're a little bit harder to educate because they rely too much on social media.
Truth. I see that, people are not getting married as much as they used to because,
Yeah.
traditionally you would see the matriarch of the household would go in and do the shopping for the family. But I'm seeing a lot more guys that are out there in stores. I'm going around. They're like, I live by myself. If I don't do this for me, nobody going to do it.
Yes.
So they're asking more questions. So I think we're seeing a little bit, to your point, a little bit of kind of a swoosh over a little bit.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you because, as we're speaking, I'm thinking of some older gentlemen that we have that come in on a very routine business or routine time anymore. And yeah, I think you're right. Either the wife has passed away, or I know in a couple cases that the wife has gone to like a nursing home, and now they have to fend for themselves. And suddenly they have a lot more questions and maybe more issues. And so they come in, and yeah, we do see some changes there.
So the last part of this today, of course, I'm celebrating you guys for what you've done, what you're going to do, and all the wonderful things that you do every day. If you were going to make suggestions to a new health food store, vitamin store, or a store that maybe, I don't know, things have changed in their demographics or they're running out of ideas, maybe to give them a little bit of a lift of something that they could utilize, what words of wisdom would you pass out to another health food store or a vitamin store that might just give them some ideas, the things that have worked for you?
Well, number one, I would say don't jump on fads. Otherwise, you're going to ruin your reputation. Always be true to who you are and find companies and products. But if you find the company, you'll find the products that align with your thinking and your mission statement and the qualities that you want. And I think if you do that, you can be successful. I think that you have to always be true and honest to your consumer, get to know them, understand what their problem is. I think the biggest issue in our industry is we need to listen. When the person comes in the door, we need to listen to them and sometimes listen to what they're not saying and ask questions, because it's the only way that you can really get to what is bothering them or what is wrong, which means it is the only way that you can give them the products that will work for them. But again, align yourself with good, reputable companies that spend money on research and not on marketing. And I think if you do that, you can be successful.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it so much.
This was a ball. Make sure you tell Suzanne I said hello. Leave everybody with a Cindy Boyer thought of the day.
That's hard, but I would say, again, just kind of going over what I said. Be kind. Remember to be kind to people. Be true to yourself. And I think, again, if you want to truly help people and that is your goal, then that is what you will be successful at. And I just think try to have patience. It's okay for us to disagree. It doesn't mean we have to be enemies.
I love it. Right in my heart. Thank you for being here today. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. Nature's Garden, Cindy Boyer, representing my retailer of the month for February of this year. I just think that they need to be celebrated. I think they're incredible. They're a foundation icon in the industry, and I think that we need to draw back the focus to their wonderful store. If you're tuning in for the first time, thanks again. You can go to my webpage, drjeffreyburke.com, tap on the Honest Health little logo. It'll take you to Spotify for your audio version. You can also tap on the YouTube logo. It'll take you to the visual. You can watch the interview. But remember, this is kind of new for me, these platforms. So if it says like, love, all that, do it all. Like it, love it. Send it out to your friends, because I want to get this information out, because these are the best minds in the industry. And I think we all can learn from them, because they're engaging, they're enthusiastic, they're intelligent, they're knowledgeable, they're teachers, and we want to learn as much as we possibly can from these wonderful people. Cindy, will you come back and see me again?
Oh, absolutely, Jeff. And kudos to you for what you're doing. I think that you are providing quite a great service for the general population. I love it.
Thank you so much. Be well, everybody. Take care. Cindy, be well.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay tuned for more information from the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. And make sure to check back often for interviews and conversations from the guests we all want to hear from. I'm John the Announcer. Thanks for listening.